There is a law older than any philosophy you have studied. A law the Kybalion describes not as opinion, not as metaphor, but as a fundamental principle of how reality operates. And this law says something that most people will spend their entire lives refusing to accept. It says, the moment you want something, you are broadcasting to the universe that you do not have it. And the universe, which is mental, which responds to the frequency of your inner state, simply confirms what you are broadcasting. You wanted, so you kept not having. This is not cruelty. This is law. Welcome to the mental laws, where we decode the principles that govern your mind, your money, and your reality. Today, we are going inside one of the most misunderstood mechanisms in the Hermetic system, the relationship between desire and vibration, between wanting and deciding, and why the two are not just different words. They are opposite frequencies that produce opposite realities. The law of vibration and the trap of wanting. The Kybalion teaches nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This is not poetry. This is the operating system of reality. Your thoughts are not private. They are frequencies, and they are always transmitting. Now here is what most teachers in the self-help space will not tell you, because it is uncomfortable and because it costs them students. Wanting is a frequency, and it is the frequency of absence. When you say, I want more money, your mind is not picturing money arriving. It is picturing the gap between where you are and where the money is. It is measuring distance. And that measurement, that inner sense of I do not yet have this, is what your nervous system is actually broadcasting into the field. Atkinson understood this. He wrote that the mind does not respond to the object of desire. It responds to the mental state in which the desire is held. A wanting mind is a mind that has already decided it is on the outside looking in. And so reality, which mirrors the inner state, keeps you on the outside. This is not failure. This is the law of vibration working exactly as it was designed. What deciding actually is, the ancient Hermeticists knew something that modern psychology is only beginning to confirm. They knew that the mind is not a receiver of reality. It is a generator of it. And the most powerful mental act a human being can perform is not hoping, not wanting, not even visualizing. It is deciding, but not deciding in the way most people understand the word. In Latin, decidere means to cut away all else, to remove every other option from the field of possibility. A decision in its true form is not a preference. It is a collapse. In quantum physics, there is an experiment, the double-slit experiment, that revealed something extraordinary. When particles are not observed, they exist as waves, as pure probability, smeared across multiple possibilities simultaneously. The moment an observer makes contact, the wave collapses into a single, definite particle. One thing becomes real, all others cease to be potential. This is what a true decision does to your reality. Before the decision, your desired outcome exists as one of many possibilities floating in the field. After the decision, when it is a real decision, not a wish dressed in decisive language, the wave function collapses. One reality becomes inevitable. All others are cut away. Decidere. The Latin root is precise, to cut. The Hermeticist who decides does not negotiate with reality. He does not beg it. He does not hope it will be kind. He commands it. The vibration of certainty. Here is where the law of vibration becomes the key that unlocks everything. When you decide, truly decide, the frequency changes. Doubt, which is the hidden companion of every want, has no room inside a real decision. The Kybalion is clear. The master of Hermetics polarizes himself at the point he wishes to occupy. He does not drift between poles. He plants himself, wanting lives at the pole of lack, deciding lives at the pole of certainty. And because vibration governs reality, because the outer world is always a mirror of the inner state. A mind that has decided begins pulling its reality into alignment with that decision. Your perception changes first. Neuroscience has a name for this: the reticular activating system. It filters 88% of incoming reality at any given moment and surfaces only what matches your dominant expectation. A person who has decided they will build wealth begins seeing the opportunities that were always present. A person who has decided they are worthy of love begins noticing the signals they were previously too doubtful to receive. Then your thoughts change, not because you forced new thoughts, but because the decision itself edged doubt out of the mental space. The Kybalion calls this mental transmutation, the deliberate shift from one mental state to another, which produces a corresponding shift in vibrational output. Then, at the deepest level, your electromagnetic frequency changes. The nervous system reconfigures. You begin to resonate differently, and what you resonate with, you attract. This is not metaphor. This is the law of vibration applied to human consciousness. Why most people cannot decide. But if deciding is so powerful, why does almost no one do it? Because most people believe that certainty must precede the decision. They wait until they can see how. They wait until the path is visible. They wait until the evidence accumulates enough to justify the commitment. This is precisely backwards. The Hermetic system does not operate through evidence first, decision second. It operates through decision first, evidence second. Certainty is not the prerequisite for the decision. Certainty is the product of it. The moment you decide, your mind begins finding reasons to confirm the decision. The moment you decide, your perception begins selecting for evidence that supports the outcome. The moment you decide, the field, which the Kybalion describes as infinitely responsive to mental states, begins reorganizing in alignment with what you have declared. But most people never reach that moment, because they are waiting for a feeling of readiness that can only arrive after they move, and they will not move until they feel ready. This is the trap. This is why years pass and the desire remains a desire. This is why the wanting continues, because the decision was never made. Atkinson wrote, "The man who hesitates is lost, not because he paused to think, but because he paused to doubt." Doubt is not wisdom. Doubt is the vibration of wanting, and wanting keeps things away. The sacred act of declaration. The Kybalion opens with a statement that most readers treat as abstract. The all is mind. The universe is mental. If you take this seriously, not as metaphor but as literal description of reality's structure, then everything changes. It means that before any physical change can occur, a mental change must precede it. It means that the outer world has no independent authority. It has only responsive authority. It responds to what you declare inside. And a declaration, a true declaration, spoken from the deepest level of mental certainty, is the beginning of the creative act. Scripture understood this. In the beginning, God said, "Let there be light." The first act of creation in the Judeo-Christian cosmology is not a wish. It is not a hope. It is a command spoken into the darkness where nothing yet existed, where all evidence said it was impossible. Let there be. Not I hope there will be. Not I am working toward there being. Let there be. This is the frequency of deciding. This is the vibration of a mind that has collapsed the wave function and chosen its reality. The Hermeticist calls this the principle of mentalism operating at full power. The mental plane always precedes and governs the physical plane. Decide at the mental level with absolute conviction, and the physical level has no choice but to follow, staying loyal to the decision. There is one final piece that most students of the Hermetic laws miss, and it is the piece that separates those who transform from those who remain stuck. The decision must be maintained. not because reality is slow, but because the ego is fast. The moment after a true decision is made, the old mental patterns, the grooves of doubt and wanting that have been worn deep by years of repetition, begin to reassert themselves. The current reality, which reflects the old frequency, presents itself as evidence that the decision was wrong. This is not evidence. This is the law of rhythm in operation. The pendulum swinging back before it swings forward. Neville Goddard called this the bridge of incidence, the gap between the inner decision and the outer manifestation, during which nothing visible has yet changed. Most people mistake this gap for failure. They see that reality has not yet shifted. They feel the old doubt rising, and they undecide. They dissolve the mental state they just created and return to the frequency of wanting. And the cycle resets. The Hermetic instruction is clear: stay loyal to the decision. Maintain the inner state. Ignore the current outer evidence, not out of delusion, but out of understanding that the outer world is always behind the inner world. It is always a reflection of a mental state that was held previously, not the one you are holding now. Your current reality is yesterday's vibration made visible. Decide today, hold it, and watch the outer world catch up. The Kybalion did not give you these laws so you could understand them intellectually. It gave them to you so you could wield them. You were not designed to negotiate with reality. You were not designed to beg it, hope at it, or want from it. You were designed to command it. There is one thing, bring it to mind now. One thing you have been wanting for longer than you should have. Notice the wanting. Notice the frequency of lack inside it. Notice how it keeps you perpetually in the position of not yet having. And now, right here, in this moment, make the decision. Not the wish, not the intention, the decision, the irreversible, doubt-cutting, wave-function collapsing declaration that this is how your reality will be. As William H. Murray wrote, the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, rising in one's favor. This is not philosophy. This is the law, and the law was never waiting for you to be ready. It was waiting for you to decide. If this unlocked something in you, the next video goes deeper into the law of vibration and how your dominant mental frequency is either building or destroying your financial reality. It is linked above. This is the mental laws.